name.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Welcome to this exciting episode of Cowboy Logic. I'm Don NEUEN, and hey, everybody. Hey, Ron, should we start over? What do we do, Ron?
I can't keep my eyes open. How does Donald Trump do it? How does he have the energy? All we did was go to the Georgia GOP
I know how he's
convention.
got the energy. Right there. Right there. He's drinking this. He's giving the Donald a little squeeze.
Yeah, yes, Donald. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I mean,
hey, welcome everybody to Cowboy Logic.
Welcome to Cowboy Logic.
You pulled a me.
That's true.
That's kind of the dumb stuff I do.
Well, Don he can sleep at a moment's notice. It's
That's
amazing.
right.
Probably from years.
Hey, Ron,
out
can
on
you
the
come
road.
in here a second?
I'm just trying to stay up with Donald Trump.
Yes, sir.
It's just amazing. How does he find the
Hey,
energy?
everybody, look at El Ronbo. Look at Ron. Ron's one of the nicest people we know. Donna, don't you agree?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
On a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put Ron?
Although he's ready, he looks like Rip, though.
About a 7.5.
No,
Nah.
where would you put Ron on a nice scale? 1 to
11.
10.
It's one more than 10.
It's one more than 10. That's right. Hey, we seriously love you, El Ronbo. Without you, this would be
Thanks,
a total
man.
technical disaster.
Yes, absolutely. And we should talk about the Captain Sticky Buns that Ron puts together.
Yeah. If you guys need some of these, we're still sending every penny we make, right, Ron? Every penny goes to Bart
every
Bart
penny.
Shively, and he's going to be out in the next
And we
couple of
want
weeks.
to thank you all for really going over the top. But if you haven't
awesome
given
is
to
that?
them, go to Give, Send, Go. Do a search for Bart Shively. We're still sending all that money to him, and we're starting to build up that nest egg for him so he can start his life over
He's
again.
going to need it. So what I'm really, yesterday, well, this past weekend, I should say, it was a week ago now because we're taping the show here, but we go to the Georgia GOP convention. And there's people running around. We got to speak to Carrie Lake, which is really cool, and Mike Collins, a bunch of other congressmen, and found that Georgia basically isn't doing diddly squat when it comes to election reform. But hey, it's unfortunately par for the course. So Donald Trump comes in, and at this point he speaks for 2 hours. And then he goes to the local Waffle House.
And this is all we had to eat or drink right there.
And Don was...
Thanks to Todd for bringing him over, because this is all we had to eat or drink the entire time we were there.
Yep.
Which was like 7 hours.
.com, promo code
Oh,
1776. MakeHoneyGreatAgain.com. When that damn thing is empty, you've got Donald Trump. Hold on. Yep, that's Donald Trump. See that, folks? Anyhow. So
Give the Donald a squeeze.
Give the Donald a squeeze. MakeHoneyGreatAgain.com.
Drink some of that.
No,
Come on.
I can't drink it out of it.
Come
I
on.
have to have it with water, ice water or whatever.
Hey, I'm
so
telling
anyhow,
you, you can live off that if you need to, because
Then-
we did yesterday.
I'm sure they have that at Waffle House too. You can put that-
Do you guys hear about this?
So then Trump
Trump goes
speaks
to
for 2
Waffle
hours.
House.
He speaks for 2 hours at the Georgia GOP. It was packed. It was this tiny little venue, so there's only about 5,500 people there. They should have had a bigger venue. But anyhow, it's another story too. So then he goes to the local Waffle House. I mean, he is the blue-collar billionaire, and he buys waffles for everybody.
Is that you? Did you coin him that, or did somebody
No,
else
a lot
do
of people
that?
have been saying that. But
Oh, okay. So that's not exclusively
no,
yours?
but I have
Like
used it quite a
Baghdad
bit.
Bob?
No, Baghdad Bob is mine.
Yep.
I can prove that one.
Yep.
If Fox ever showed me the tapes again. But anyhow, so then it must be nice to have your own private jet too. Before we even got home from Columbus, Georgia, he's already taken the stage in
He'd
North
had
Carolina.
waffles and flown to Charlotte.
He buys waffles for everybody at the local Waffle House in Georgia. And then, luckily, he finished right around 9 o'clock, so you could see our entire show on RAV. It was a beautiful thing. But the guy is going to be another year older. Well, this show is going to air after his birthday, and they had a great birthday celebration that Steve Stern and the Flagshirt.com folks put together. Great patriotic message for Donald Trump that a lot of folks got together.
I think right now, don't you guys think she should sing "Happy Birthday" to Trump?
Like I did?
Should, like she did for Steve Stern's video.
Yeah.
Come on, Donna. Come on.
Happy birthday to you.
Hold on. Start over. And I'll sign it. I'll do the sign
Oh,
language.
no.
Ron, you think I should do this, Ron?
You don't want to bring the sign language lady
Do
in?
it, Don. Do it.
Okay, here we go. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, Donna.
Oh, my God. Here we go.
Okay.
Happy birthday. You're going to make me laugh now. I'm serious.
Come on.
How am I going to do
Be
this?
serious.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you. Is that open the door? Open the steeple? Open the jury? Whatever
I was just doing
This
stuff.
is the church. This is a steeple.
Ron, how'd I do?
Open
Did I
the
do
door,
okay?
See all the people? Is that what
Oh,
you
it
were
sounded
doing?
great. Yeah. She sounded great. I don't know about you, but
I can't believe I made it through that whole thing without you really making me laugh, but that was pretty damn fun.
Dude, that was as cold as the Moderna vaccine needed to be.
But seriously, the guy's now another year older. He's only 3.5 years younger than Joe Biden, and look at the difference. Biden's wandering around the stage.
Captain Pike.
He does. He really is. Captain Pike. Star Trek fans, go look it up. Or well, the fans know what I'm talking about. You kids, go look it up.
Our audience is old enough. You all
Yeah.
know who Captain Pike was.
I mean, it's
Episode
unbelievable.
1, pilot series
Yep.
for Star Trek.
And that's how William Shatner got in there.
That's right.
Because the guy who played Captain Pike actually in real life,
Jeremy.
shoot.
It was Jeremy somebody.
No, I don't know, but he played Jesus Christ too as well. And he,
Jeremy Brown.
No.
Before Jeremy Brown was an oak keeper, he played Captain Pike in the
Oh, stop.
1960 series of. Well, he's not that old.
No, but most of the people who played Jesus in movies had weird things happen or came to horrible ends.
And that's right. He was a Jesus character.
Jim Caviezel got struck by lightning
God
when
bless you.
twice.
God bless you.
Stop. Twice
Caviezel.
when he was filming The
Caviezel.
Passion of the Christ. It's not funny. The guy's a great patriot. God, you got to love him and the work he's doing. But yeah, so but the guy who, and I used to really know his name, but who played the initial
his last
Captain
name
Pike,
again. Say his last name again.
Jim Caviezel.
Bless you.
Stop.
Say it
I'm
again.
not talking about Jim Caviezel. I'm talking about the
God
guy in
bless you.
Star Trek.
Gesundheit.
Caviezel. Oh, man. Anyhow.
Hold
but the
on.
bottom line
Hold
is.
on. This is important.
Yeah.
I have to interrupt.
Hate to laugh about
At the
that.
risk of emails.
Uh-oh.
I want to thank everybody because I complained last week, or I didn't necessarily complain. I was just telling you guys I got a lot of hate mail over Landon Copeland's interview.
Yeah, but it's.
God bless you people because you sent me a ton of really nice emails this past week. And it's really nice to get the nice ones.
Well-
it really is. And thank you. Every one of them I was just pleased. I didn't get a single negative email.
The big thing about
Hey.
Copeland.
I didn't get a single negative email.
Jeffrey Hunter.
Donna,
Thank you, Ron.
acknowledge.
No, I'm not. Jeffrey Hunter. Thank you, Ron. That was right. Jeffrey Hunter
I
was
thought
the
it was
actor
Jeffrey
that passed away.
'cause Weasel.
No, that's Jim Caviezel. Will you stop? Jeffrey Hunter. Thank you, Ron. It's great to have such a wonderful producer that can look this stuff up while
What
you're
did
on
I
the
say,
air.
Jeremy
And
Brown?
You walk yourself into a. Anyhow, but yeah, Captain Pike. Anyhow, and he's has
Ron,
to be
hold
led
on.
around the
we
stage.
got a minute. Ron, come in side by side and do your impersonation of Captain Pike. Come on, man. You can do it. You can do it.
I don't have an impersonation of Captain Pike because I'm a Trekkie and I'm not going to pull that stuff, Don. You know I'm not going to.
Okay,
Come
I'll
on,
do it.
man. Do a Pike.
No, I'm not
Come on.
going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
It was like when you were sleeping one time during Donna's headlines. When you fell asleep. There you go. There's a Captain Pike.
Jeez, Pike's eyes were open, though, I think, in that one. Anyhow, what's really happening is a swamp is toxic. Let me just tell you this. There's more methane emitted from a swamp than from any cow's butt. That's all I can say, and it's pretty obvious that D.C., which was a swamp that was filled in, environmentalists never would have let D.C. get developed the way it was if it was nowadays. But that's the whole thing, and it's really happening, and I really think that most of these people in D.C., and we're going to find that from the Jan Sixers that we've talked to through the years, and again today as well, that these people actually think that they were victims on January 6th. And
I'm
we
going to
have
see if Donna is watching the clock.
No, stop. So I just wanted to get that out. Just remember, the swamp emits more methane than any cow's butt. We'll be back right after this.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
Hey gang, you know what food is great for you? Honey. And now it's time to MakeHoneyGreatAgain.com.
Yeah, baby.
Well, show this. Hold on. This Donald Trump, isn't that if nothing else, you're going to save the bottle afterward. You're not supposed to eat that much of it.
Yeah.
MakeHoneyGreatAgain.com. Again, honey really is something.
Drink honey like I do and do 4 or 5 takes of it.
MakeHoneyGreatAgain.com. Honey really is a superfood.
Woo! I'm all jacked up on that honey high.
You can cook with it. You know that it's great for you. I drink it actually with a little apple cider vinegar, and it tastes great, and it's good for you. Helps you lose weight. MakeHoneyGreatAgain.com. Promo code 1776.
Hey, Donna, I'm all jacked up. Why? This is the 4th take of this commercial, and each time I'm drinking honey, so I'm all jacked up on the natural sugar high.
Cowboy Logic, everyone.
Hey, Donna, nice beaver.
This flag is huge. We got our flag. Isn't it awesome?
I feel like Wilson in that TV show with the funny guy. Peering over.
Wait,
Hey,
what was
Ron,
that
what do you
called?
think of this flag? We got our J6 flag.
This is our Ashley Babbitt
I
flag,
love that
folks.
flag.
Oh,
That
I love
flag
it.
is beautiful.
Hey,
I love it too.
Now we go back down, Donna.
Well,
hey,
yeah.
youramericanflagstore.com.
This thing is heavy.
It's heavy.
It's durable. It's awesome. We're saving this for one of the Jan 6ers because
No.
is this one ours?
This one is ours.
Okay, this is the
We
same
bought
one. Mm-hmm.
this one. We paid for this one.
It keeps sitting up
and
in my
with
chair.
this one, we got a free one that gets to go to a J6 family member.
Oh, that's right.
And here's what we decided to do. Our J6 family flag we are holding on to for Jeff McKellop's family. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're going to hold on to until Jeff gets out, and then he's going to get the flag. But for everyone that you buy, and we paid for this one. Mm-hmm. We bought this. We went online to the store, youramericanflagstore.com, and we bought this.
This is the
And
Ashley
then-
Babbitt flag, which
Yep,
is over
there's
here.
oops,
the
yeah.
star. I'm
The
turned
red
around
st-
here. The red
that's
star
The Babbitt star.
that the Jan 6ers designed, this flag. How awesome is it?
Put your nose
really
up
is.
here, Donna.
No,
Hey,
but this is so
now-
cool. And Mickey Whithoff has her flag.
Yep, she got
Ashley's mom.
she got the first one. Uh-oh.
Show the
Now.
other one, too.
Yeah. All right, so we got that one.
It's hard to maneuver
And
these
then-
things.
They made this one just for us.
This one's wider. It's banging into the mic.
Hey.
Damn, we got to stand
Hold
up
on,
for
we got to
this
lift
one.
it up. Look at that.
How cool is that?
Hold on. There you go. I got to have things symmetrical.
Yeah, he has to have things symmetrical or else he can't
All right.
function.
Now, I don't know if you guys can order those. This may have just been a special flag
I
that
think
they
they
made.
said they'll make whatever you can. It might take a little while. But man, that's youramericanflagstore.com. The Stockies do some great
That's
work.
right.
And you know what? They're a great American story, too. They moved out to Tennessee from California. You've seen them on with Ed and Karen in the mornings as well and on various other shows. The big thing is they were almost shut down because they were, attacked by woke companies. And
They were canceled.
Yeah, they were canceled.
canceled by their payment modules like, I don't know, Square or
Yeah.
PayPal,
They
that
almost
kind of
lost
stuff.
their house because they couldn't make any
And not
money.
only did they get canceled, then the company said, well, we're going to hold on to like $80,000 worth of your revenue until we can figure out what's up with you, patriots.
I don't think so. It's kind of ridiculous. So anyhow, Donald Trump is a year older, folks, and I think he's going down in age because at this point, compare him to Joe Biden, who literally has to be led around stage by his wife. I mean, it's adult abuse.
I thought you
really
did a
think.
good job of singing
Yes.
that last
Yeah.
segment, Donna.
Yeah, well-
Don't you? Ron?
I tried.
Hey, Ron.
I tried.
Ron
Yes,
loves
sir.
it when I throw these curveballs. Hey, come on in. Yeah, he's usually eating a sandwich or something when I do that, right, Ron?
No. I'm holding off. I'm holding off,
holding
Don.
off.
Hey, didn't Donna do a good job of singing?
I
She did
tried.
do a good job. Reminiscent of Marilyn Monroe.
That's right.
Well, not quite, but
That's right.
I tried.
Bart Shively.
Only sexier.
I sang like that for Bart Shively's birthday too,
That's
and it was
right.
in the morning over the
She
phone,
did.
so it actually sounded a lot better.
She sounded pretty sexy and
My voice
hot,
was
too.
gruffy. It was gruffy. All right, there's just so much stuff going on. It's crazy. We were at the Georgia GOP convention. It was a farce.
And there was a guy with a head double mask
Yeah.
on. I got to get into it. I could not do it. Don't fly the picture up, Ron. We haven't blurred out his face.
It was really funny though, because Don goes on with Amanda and Miranda Khan, and says, we only have to look to our left and to our right because we're on the media riser.
They were
with
all
these
around us.
liberal pukes around us from the various networks, and it was really funny when Carrie Lake came in to talk to us.
Yeah.
She goes, "Phew, I was in hostile territory over there because everybody was from the networks wanted to talk to her."
Nobody offered to help her up onto the little riser either, except us. us.
Except
Why?
us.
Because we're gentlemen and we're Southern and we got manners and we understand how to treat a lady. And all these other hostile news organizations, these liberal mainstream media puke balls were next to us. I felt filthy. I felt dirty. Nobody helped her up. She's in heels and she's having to climb up on the riser. Why? Because they don't have manners. They weren't taught how to be gentlemen and ladies. They just sit around and double mask.
Well, you don't know if
this
they're
little
hims or
guy,
hers.
This soy boy was double masked.
How do you know it was
double
a soy
masked?
boy?
He was so thin he had to jump around in the shower to get wet. He turned sideways and you don't even see him. He was soy as could be. I could see the leaves popping out of his daggum pores. He was a soy boy that had double masks on. One of them was a white P95 and the other was this little floral colored print thing that looked Twinkie as could be. He looked like a soy. He looked like a little soy plant. If I had my tractor, I'd have run over him with the tiller and pulled him out of the ground, little soy boy.
Are you done? How do you know it was a he? How do you know what his pronouns
I have
were?
no idea what I just said.
I'm sure he ate Beyond Meat too. I want to
That's
get
soy,
to business
isn't that
here.
soy?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Anyhow, I want to get to. You know,
How do you
I gotta
follow
tell
that?
you,
That was pretty damn.
I don't know.
Was that a
it's
rant?
rough. That was a rant.
Was it?
Yeah, not as good as a Bannon rant, but it was pretty damn good.
Well,
Okay, so here we go. Oh no.
let me put my pencils in my shirt.
You gotta love Dan Bongino. He has such great insight on so many different things. And you stop. It's your Cowboy Logic pencils.
Pencils.
Yep. Cowboy Logic Laser.
Hey, I want to shout out to Genghis Khan, who uses pencils to keep the statistics during the Getter live streams.
Yes.
And we
Big
want to
help.
thank each and every one of you for really breaking those numbers through the roof. And we want to thank Mr. Parker Sigg, Zen Jr., for making sure that they schedule these things, especially when Trump's talking and we have no idea when he's going to finish, to allow our show to be seen in its entirety. We thank you. That's important to us. It's important to the guests, but most importantly, we think it's important to you, the viewers, that you get to see the whole show.
Yeah, and actually,
And thank you, Zen
yeah.
Jr., for doing that.
And thank you, Donald Trump, for finishing at 9 o'clock last week so we could
Yep.
have our entire show seen.
But we love it when they
Here's-
reset the stream because Genghis Khan sitting there with his pencil and his little character taking notes. And
Telling us how many
Yeah.
are still,
Yeah.
joining into the chat, and we love it. So here's the thing that Bongino's talking about, and I totally agree. They're not after Joe Biden at this point as far as trying to protect him. They're protecting the precious. For all you folks that like Lord of the Rings, the precious.
Who's the precious?
The precious is Barack Obama.
That's right.
And make no mistake about it, that is the bottom line. And Obama probably is calling the shots right now.
Where's
with what's
Valerie
going on.
Jarrett been, ladies and gentlemen?
So again,
Susan Rice, where are these people?
Biden calls this a bunch of malarkey. My father used to say that all the time. Just a bunch of malarkey. Hunter Biden didn't get millions. Meanwhile, Marjorie Taylor Greene, actually on Bongino's show, has said that she's seen all the forms, this Form 1023. There are 3 of them, actually. They're not classified, but then the Democrats said, well, you still have to go into this skiff and you can't take notes and all this other stuff. Meanwhile, the thing is, these should be available to the public. But there's at least $5 million to Hunter Biden and $5 million to Joe Biden. We're talking about from Ukraine. We're talking about the area that's starting to possibly foment World War III. And they're going after Donald Trump for having a few documents spewed, actually that they set up, spewed around his office. Spewed around his office.
Hey, we got a minute.
This is so ridiculous.
Listen, can I interject something here?
The double standard is crazy.
Please.
Yeah.
Donald Trump said something very important, at least at the Georgia GOP convention yesterday. I don't know, he may have said it at the North Carolina one as well. But he said something that was very important, and it hit me as it would hit me as the most important thing that he said all day. Mm-hmm. There will not be World War III under his watch. Did you hear him say that?
Yeah.
That hit me like a ton of bricks. There will not be World War III under Donald Trump's watch. And I think we all need to remember that, soy boy with the double mask, when you go to vote in 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a nice show coming up. We got a couple of J6er veteran military oath keepers that are going to be joining us. And then we have our dear friend, Judge Hal Morose. It's all coming up next.
I'm Cowboy Logic.
Cowboy Logic.
Hey everybody, Donna Fiducia here to tell you about MyPillow and MyStore.com. Promo code 1776 supports Cowboy Logic and, of course, Mike Lindell. Let me tell you what we just got from My Store. This is the big-ass bag of My Coffee. And, you know, it says on the back here that Mike said it helps him stay energized and focused. Like Mike Lindell needs more energy. But yeah, hey, far it to be for me to judge. But My Coffee comes in all kinds of different flavors, including decaf. We got it. We love it. There's dog beds, obviously, at My Store and MyPillow.com. Of course, the pillows, the new 2.0 pillows, the sheets, everything. You name it, Mike Lindell has it. Go to My Store and MyPillow.com. Promo code 1776 supports the great Mike Lindell. What a patriot he is. And Cowboy Logic. We certainly appreciate it. That's My Pillow and My Store, promo code 1776.
everybody, we've been looking forward to this one for a long, long time. And the thing is, we didn't really know how to get in touch with Jessica because Jessica's in a different part of the D.C. jail. She's on the women's side. And why is Jessica on the women's side? Because for all practical purposes, Jessica's a woman. She's a transgender, but she's also a U.S. Army veteran and a J6er and an oath keeper, and she's looking at 8.5 years that were just handed down to her. We're going to find out a lot about what happened in Jessica's world on January 6th.
Well,
Jessica,
we should say that she was on trial with Kelly Meggs and Stuart Rhodes, all the main Oath Keepers trial.
She was in Oath Keeper 1.
Yeah.
And we got a chance to see her when we went up there for the closing arguments. Jessica Watkins, let's get right down to business. Welcome to Cowboy Logic.
Thank you. I appreciate being here, Don.
Yep. All right. Now, we're going to kind of give you the ball and let you roll with it because you are a subject matter expert. We put you into the category and into the grouping of like our brother Jeff McKellop or Kelly Meggs. You have had 2 years to be able to study the video footage on evidence.com, and you, unlike Kelly right now and Jeff McKellop as of months and months and months ago, you still have all your notes.
That's what I was going to bring up. The fact that you have all your notes that you've been able to amass, unlike the, what Jeff McKellop has found and Kelly Meggs, and also Stuart Rhodes, that their information was rated. You did not have that situation, thank God. So now, Jessica, you have that information from 2 years of work. So enlighten us as to what you saw and what you have camera footage of, and it's, in your notes as well as obviously burned into your brain at this point.
Sure. I actually don't have my notes any longer. About a week ago, I shipped them out with my attorney.
Oh, okay.
That way I'd have them safe. But I've been researching January 6th since we gained access to our discovery. And a lot of what I found has actually been relatively shocking. When I was there on January 6th, I didn't really see anything that I would categorize as like extreme violence like you would see on the West Terrace, like in the tunnel and stuff. And so when I was there, I didn't see any of that. And so I was shocked when I started peeling back the onion. I started seeing a lot of the J6ers that were coming into the unit. Initially, I was in the January 6th unit, and they were telling me stories about Roseanne Boyland and, about a lot of the police brutality. And it really, it shocked me, because it wasn't jiving with what the news and what Congress and everything was saying. And so when we started watching it was incredible. I mean, we're beatings of little old ladies and, just blind firing tasers into the crowd, firing, launchers at above head level, grenade launchers at point blank at people, indiscriminately without a threat. I saw tear gas grenades thrown. The police were downwind. Anybody who's been in the military or, I was also in the fire department. And so, you're not supposed to be downwind of your own munitions. And so the police were downwind of their own munitions. It was their own tear gas grenades that caused the police lines to collapse. It wasn't patriots macing the police line. It was very clear in the footage that they threw grenades against orders, and the tear gas blew right in their faces. They were ill-prepared. They didn't have gas masks, and so they were affected by their own munitions. Unfortunately, I back the blue 100%, like 1,000%. I'm very pro-law and order. And so it was really disappointing to see the narrative being spun that it was patriots that caused the police line to collapse, when in fact it was police munitions.
And when you withhold video for 2 years to the public, or as the sham J6 committee did, edit things to fit your narrative, you've got an entire jury pool, and we've talked about this so many times on previous interviews, that is tainted. You even have judges thinking that it was an insurrection and that they personally, were attacked as well. So they have skin in the game. And yet, unfortunately, none of these trials have been moved out of D.C. What did you actually see yourself after, seeing the video being so contrary to what you saw? You were not in such a violent area, correct?
No, I was on the east side. It was very much peaceful over there. It was not in any way, I wouldn't even characterize it as a protest as much as a rally. It literally felt super beautiful. That video of the Oath Keepers climbing the stairs, they edited that, they cropped it out, so it looked like we were forming a tactical formation. We just walked up the stairs together to sing our national anthem, and the video shows that at the end of us getting up there, we turned around and we were just singing. You can see our mouths moving with the national anthem, and it was just a beautiful moment. We're filming and smoking cigarettes, and no, it was not a violent clash at all. There was a violent incident that happened up there. However, those individuals were what I can't speak directly. I don't have any insider knowledge, but they looked like Antifa. They're dressed in all black with the anonymous mask, the Guy Fawkes anonymous mask, or Antifa said they were going to be dressed like us as in Trump supporters, not Oath Keepers. They said they were going to be dressed like us. They were going to be wearing Trump hats worn backwards and camouflage shorts. And you see these individuals pull out cans of mace and pepper spray the police, and you can see Trump supporters clearly trying to stop them. And Oath Keepers were blamed for that attack, actually. We were charged with destruction of government property, and they still to this day, during my sentencing, claim that we joined a mob that was violently assaulting police. That did not happen. That happened 20 minutes before we got there, and the damage to the doors happened 20 minutes before we got there. And that individual got 3 years, and he attacked a police officer, and he smashed out the 3 windows of the Capitol door. They blamed us for that for 2 years, and we were ultimately found not guilty because, we weren't even there. We were half a mile away. We were on Pennsylvania Avenue. How do we aid and abet violence when we're not even on the same side of the building? We're not even on the same street. So.
Well, in all our years of doing media coverage and those events that we covered that had Oath Keepers present, we've never seen anything but professional security, America-loving. We felt safe around them. Hell, there were times when we were guarded by Oath Keepers at events that we were speaking at. Let me ask you this, Jess. During your trial, and we've only got about 3 minutes before we're going to have to go to a break. During your trial, which was the Oath Keeper 1 trial, the footage that was presented in court when you all were in a semicircle facing away from, or when the Oath Keepers were in a semicircle facing away from Harry Dunn, Capitol Police officer, protecting him from anybody encroaching on his space. The footage that you saw in your trial blacked out when the camera actually got to the area where the Oath Keepers were. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Okay. What we're going to do when we get back in this next segment, I'm going to talk to you. Were you in that semicircle, or were you in a different place?
I was in a different place, but I was aware of it at the time. I talked about it at length. I talked about it with Kelly, right after I left the building, actually. So,
okay.
There was actually 2 police rescues that day. 2 police rescues. We also provided medical attention to injured law enforcement. I personally rescued injured protesters, dragging one man to the ambulance. So we were definitely there doing good things. That was our intention.
Describe for us the way the footage that the prosecution presented against you all in that trial, because we've got the footage that doesn't have it blacked out, and we're going to let everybody see this. But I'd like to have an idea of what you saw, and you got 2 minutes, what you saw during your trial that the prosecution claimed was just time missing from a video. What did you see in that evidence?
What I saw is still, I actually helped Attorney Brad Geyer by going frame by frame of that footage. You can still see clearly that, Kenny Harrelson has his hands out. He's pushing against the crowd. He's telling them, to calm down. You can hear him clearly say, "Hey, look!" You can hear Harry Dunn say, "Hey, you guys are effing us up," and he said, "Really?" And he immediately jumps in to help. I mean, they couldn't even crop out that much. It's very clear, even from their own selectively chosen video, that.
Where did it go black? Where did it go black, though, in the Stephen Horn video?
I wish I could tell you.
Okay.
I don't know exactly where it
And Harry Dunn did come back and testified against them.
Testified against you all.
Against you guys. So he perjured himself, in my opinion, and he needs to be held accountable because this is huge. Your lives are at stake here.
Yeah. In his own testimony with the FBI, he said that he allowed the Oath Keepers to stand in front of him and protect him. And then when he was in trial, he literally said, "I didn't need their help, F them." That was his final statement. "I didn't need their help, F them."
Under oath, he said, "F them"?
Correct.
All right.
This is just out of control.
We're going to have to go to break. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got Jessica Watkins with us. She's been in the D.C. gulag for over 2 years now. And she's an oath keeper. And she's looking at 8.5 years. You see a Give, Send, Go account on the screen. We need for you to help support her. All of these J6ers need your support. You're watching Cowboy Logic. We're with Jessica Watkins, and we'll be right back. we're back with our girl, Jessica
People only
Watkins.
saw what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, commercial breaks are a lot of fun
He's
around
been
here.
very mean lately.
I have not been mean.
Yes, you have.
No, I've not. No, I've not.
Picking on me.
Stop that. All right, here we go. All right. Before we went to break, Jess, we were talking about the fact that the prosecution has had enormous latitude in discovery and evidence and what is being able to be seen in court. And we're going to get into a lot of these things in this segment that took place in your trial. But one of those has to do with Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn, who was armed with an AR-15 and was very intimidated by the crowd that was coming into the Capitol. The Oath Keepers formed a semicircle around him for protection. That had ended up backfiring in trial when some things were flipped around. And the evidence that was shown was a video by Steve Horn that's walking through that hallway, and all of a sudden the video goes dark or blacked out, like Steve had problems with his footage. But that's not the case, because we've been running this footage right next to Jessica's place card the entire time that I've been talking. So, Jess, you all were there, or the Oath Keepers were there to help protect Harry Dunn because he was freaking out and he was worried, right?
Yes, sir. That's what they were doing.
Okay. And now you guys have seen the footage that, according to Kelly Meggs and some of the other Oath Keepers, was not allowed to be in the trial. Isn't it weird that public domain footage can be shown?
It's clear.
It's just amazing.
Brady violations.
Big time.
Anybody will tell you, if you withhold evidence, whether the person's guilty or not, you got to let them go. And now you're doing 8 years. You're facing 8 years for something that you had no business even being tried
There
for.
was no plan. Or actually, there was a plan, right, Jess? It's just not the same plan that the prosecution kept discussing.
Yeah, talk about the text.
What was the plan?
Yeah, that they kind of held against you.
Okay, so they discussed November 4th Million MAGA March ad nauseum, talking. Now, they had 302s, which are FBI documents that stated there was, or not, excuse me, not 302s, those grand jury transcripts, where they stated that November 14th was completely unrelated to January 6th, the Million MAGA March. Now, at that march, we protected the stage for Alex Jones and a number of individuals who were
General
giving
Flynn
speeches at the Million MAGA March. That was our job on January 5th.
Yep.
I protected the stage with General Michael Flynn, Alex Jones again. I believe Roger Stone spoke again. So that was the plan on January 5th. And on January 6th, it was the exact same plan, only we were also supposed to escort congressmen from the Save America rally at the White House Ellipse on January 6th to the Capitol building. We had a permit for Area 8 on Capitol grounds. We had a contract to provide security. We had provided our background information to, I didn't do it myself, but to Secret Service so we could get clearance. So it's really strange that we would make this huge plan to overthrow democracy when we're going to give federal law enforcement our background check information. When everything was broadcast all over the internet, hey, we're going to be here, we're going to be providing security, we're going to have a medical station if you need that. So that was our plan on January 6th. So in the January 6th Select Committee with Liz Cheney and all that, there was a radio app that I was using called Zello, where I said, hey, we're sticking together and we're sticking to the plan. When I said that on the Zello app, I was in the middle of escorting VIPs from the Ellipse to the Capitol as planned. There was nothing malicious about it. And we did that security detail. We showed it in trial. You can see Kelly Meggs and everybody in front. You can see me behind. You can see our security detail in the center. You can also see Capitol surveillance camera footage. We showed that, where it shows Kenny Harrelson escorting his protesters and being very protective of them. I think very highly of Mr. Meggs and Mr. Harrelson. They're both heroes to me, especially for the rescue of Harry Dunn. Connie Meggs, all of them. So.
Well, you said
that was our plan.
Yeah, but this was used wildly. This text was wildly used against you by the Jan 6 committee, totally blown out of proportion. And then Harry Dunn basically does a 180 on you guys.
Correct.
All right, so
I have.
Oh, go ahead.
I have my own suspicions on that, but
Okay.
So during a hearing right before our sentencing, they have people who give testimony, and three of the people. So Harry Dunn is often seen taking pictures with Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi's bodyguard, Lazarus, who also lied under oath. We caught them on a bunch of lies in our trial, by the way. There's a huge grocery list of lies, just flat out not true. They fabricated evidence. They falsified testimony and documents. It's insane what they did with us. But Agent Lazarus was Nancy Pelosi's personal bodyguard. He testified against us, and then Nancy Pelosi's chief of staff testified against us. And it was Nancy Pelosi that orchestrated the January 6th Select Committee. It very much feels like the former speaker was basically out to get the oath keepers.
You know what's unbelievable is our own John Solomon, Just the News, No Noise, last couple of weeks or so is starting to show a lot of this Jan 6 footage. And he shows, and I don't know if this guy Lazarus was part of it, but he shows Nancy Pelosi's daughter going through like she's taking a movie. You know, it's like a scene from a movie, like she's shooting a movie. And at one point, he's proven that the daughter, Alexa, I think her name is, or Alexander, something like that, goes into an SUV with Nancy Pelosi, and some of her security detail weren't going to fit in, so they actually left the Speaker of the House technically not as secure, not guarded as much as she should have on January 6th, and then they come back and say how scared they were. And obviously the video shows otherwise. Don had a question.
No, I just wanted you to continue.
Yeah, sorry. If you want to comment on that.
Oh, you're fine. That's all right. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I didn't know all that. But yeah, no, the plan was for us just to protect people, to protect the stage. When I got there, one of the first things I do is I saw a guy jumping around on a police vehicle. I made him get down. Antifa does crap like that, not us. And so I was like, hey, get down. You can see me on video gesturing, hey, get down. And then I stopped vandalism inside the Capitol. Somebody was breaking glass, and I made them stop. We rescued injured people, so I helped, like I said before, 2 injured people. I dragged 1 man to the ambulance, also on camera. And then we got the curfew order, and we're like, hey, we need to go. We also had a PhD-holding doctor who was providing medical attention to Metropolitan Police Department. Like, he helped like a dozen officers that day. Kelly Meggs was helping police, like literally on camera, and we showed it in trial, like grabbing people and pushing them out of the Capitol building while police stood there and let them do their job for them. Mm-hmm. And yet we're here to overthrow democracy, and yet we spent almost all of our time being not just benign, but beneficial.
Well, you are a trained firefighter and EMT, as well as having a military career. So again, there's probably nobody better to be helping people in a strenuous situation than people like yourself and other oath keepers. And again, you say you have that. And on top of it all, you obeyed a curfew. When the curfew hit, you guys stopped. And it's
yes,
upside down, just upside down. You got a few minutes.
We've got 3 minutes, Jess. I want to go back to the moment when you and the rest of the Oath Keepers were launched into the Capitol, because you had no intention of going into the Capitol. That was not the plan. You are. Can you give us an idea of your frame size? What size person are you? I've seen you, so I know the answer to this. But
I am very much like, I have a very feminine frame. I am not a big hulking individual.
Kind of like Connie Meggs.
So you're like the antithesis of Meggs, right?
Well, not Kelly Meggs,
so, yeah.
yes, but not Connie Meggs.
Yeah,
Again,
Kelly Meggs.
You've got 60-year-olds in there trying to do an insurrection with no gun.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right.
It's so frustrating.
I want you to describe what it felt like, very briefly, when you were puked into the Capitol building by the surge behind you.
So, yeah, the crowd was definitely surging for it. Was like Black Friday is how I described it in trial, where everybody's just trying to get through a doorway in a little tiny area, and, you know, like, but there was a bad atmosphere. It wasn't angry. It wasn't aggressive. It very much felt like a First Amendment protected activity. It felt like a protest. And when we went in there, it still felt like a protest. The crowd was very dense. It was like getting pushed around by rugby hooligans is how I described it. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it was not violent. It was not aggressive. There were no police there. I didn't see any police at all until much later. And I don't know. There was nothing that was going to stop it. Me personally, I do regret going inside. Obviously, I think it was good that they rescued Harry Dunn, and I was able to help injured people. I think this was good stuff, but ultimately, I do regret going inside. I just, I don't know. It was just such an American moment. It felt like, okay, we the people are going to be heard today. We're not here to overthrow anything.
Yeah.
We wanted our voices heard. That was it.
And that surge, as you describe it, as a Black Friday surge, I mean, God forbid anybody fell, they'd be trampled. It was that dense. Can you talk
correct.
about...
Well, we've only got about 30 seconds here. I want to make sure that people go to your Give, Send, Go account. And also, I want to give you this opportunity to say hello to someone you love, and that's Montana.
Hello, Montana. I love you so much. Thank you for coming to my trial. Thanks for coming to sentencing. He's been my rock for all of this. He's helped me get through. We're going to be married whenever this is over. So I miss you.
All right.
Jessica
Everybody,
Watkins,
Jessica Watkins, another one of our Oath Keeper heroes.
G29H3.
That's right.
is
Ladies
her
and
Give,
gentlemen,
Send, Go. Thank
Jess,
you, Jess.
thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back with more Cowboy Logic right after this. right, we're excited to be back with another one of our beloved J6ers, Kenny Harrelson. Now, I have indirectly known Ken for almost 2 years through Kelly Meggs. Mm-hmm. And Ken made a decision that throughout his trial and sentencing, he was not going to have a media presence. And then after he was just sentenced with the Oath Keeper 1 trial, through the grouping of Oath Keeper, what we call Oath Keeper 1.
Which was Stuart Rhodes, Kelly Meggs, Kenny, and Jessica Watkins.
Yep, and I think Caldwell was in there too.
Okay.
At any
Yes,
rate,
I'm sorry.
the point is Oath Keeper 1. Mm-hmm. Now, Kenny was just sentenced. He's looking at 4 years. And with time served, we're going to get into a little bit about what that means. But he went to Brother Kelly Meggs, and he says, I've been sentenced. I now want to go on the air, and I want to talk to Cowboy Logic. And Ken, we're grateful for that, man. I told you that was an honor that when you and I spoke for the first time about that. What an honor. And, sir, welcome, finally, to Cowboy Logic. It's an honor to have you here with us, brother.
Welcome, Kenny.
Thank you guys so much. It's an honor to be here, and I appreciate, and I'm sure as everyone else does, the platform you guys have given some of these guys to talk and give their stories. So
well, now you're back in D.C., right? You're back in D.C. And you're awaiting your papers to get shipped out. You don't know where you're going right now. Hopefully, we're going to be going down to Florida and maybe even to Coleman. That would be an awesome thing. Let's talk a little bit about what you guys were up there in D.C. for. You were not in D.C. to attend the Trump rally as a rally person or a MAGA person or to do protesting. You guys were actually sent up there on the 5th and the 6th to provide security, something that your trial really didn't, the prosecution didn't want to hear the word security, right?
Oh, no, sir. And what was sad was that you could tell that there was no real investigative process in this when my attorney, which a great guy, Brad.
Yep.
So the streets of D.C. are covered by CCTV cameras from the Ellipse to the Capitol, and after months and months of viewing video, we finally found the detail. About 15 head of principals, myself, a couple other Oath Keepers, along with some personal bodyguards that were. Some of the speakers had their own personal bodyguards. We followed that line from the Ellipse to the Capitol, and we went straight to the area where the speaking engagement was supposed to be. It was not there. A few other things happened, but when we showed that footage in trial, the prosecutors turned around to the lead investigators. I can't believe you've done this to us, which shows that they had no idea at all that the actual security detail actually did take place.
Yeah, they just didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear anything about the fact that you all were there to provide security. Now, who were you actually guarding and protecting on the 6th?
On the 6th, it was a group of about 15 speakers. There were supposed to be more, but there were a few people. I only know a few of the names. There was, I think, Simone Gold was part of the group, and her boyfriend, Mr. Strand. A gentleman named Michael Calgary. He had his own personal bodyguard, and a few other individuals. Now the stage setup we were supposed to provide security for at the Capitol. They were supposed to be congressmen speaking there. I can't remember some of their names.
How about General Flynn? Were you involved with him at all?
I was not involved with any of the General Flynn stuff. I got involved with the security in Florida, and I joined the Oath Keepers not because of the security aspect, but for disaster relief, providing disaster relief for the community of Florida, as well as the community preparedness team aspect of the Oath Keepers, which I thought was an excellent idea to get civilian people out and teach them how to provide, take care of themselves during natural disasters. But in 2020, I don't know if you guys remember, Roger Stone and his wife was attacked in the streets of Florida by some Antifa members, whatever you want to call them, the activist people. And I got a phone call and said, hey, they need some security down in Miami for one of Roger Stone's events. And I said, you know what? Not on my watch will elderly man and woman ever get attacked by a bunch of young punks. So that's when I said, you know what? I'll do some of the security stuff.
Who reached out to you initially? Who reached out to you within the Oath Keeper organization?
Well, no one reached out to me. In 2018, we had a stint of real bad hurricanes.
Yep.
And what I was seeing was, first responders were providing services, doing like door-to-door welfare checks on individuals. And after a bad hurricane and the flooding, you'll end up with looting and theft. And what I was seeing was people were robbing these first responders that were going around doing these welfare checks, and that they needed people to help provide volunteer security. So that's initially what got me searching for an organization to kind of provide, some of what I learned in the military, and also provide for my community, because that's just the type of person I've always been. And Oath Keepers kept hitting in the top 5 of my search engine on Google, and there were a couple other organizations in Florida as well as the Oath Keepers, and the Oath Keepers are the only ones who actually responded to my inquiry. So I chose to go with the Oath Keepers, and the rest is pretty much history. There really wasn't much going on in the organization, other than doing some classes with guys locally, because there were some more members locally where I lived at. Some guys were providing, first aid classes and amateur radio operator type stuff. So
yeah, just kind of hanging out, disaster preparedness.
But see, this is what gets me, because the majority of the people that are really being railroaded and arrested are people like yourself that try to help problems, try to help disaster relief, do disaster relief and help people in disasters. And on January 6th, when it was pretty obvious that elderly people that had just gone there to peacefully protest were getting attacked, you guys aren't running away from the problem, you're running to the problem, especially former military, and you're being targeted.
Exactly, and that's what we've seen. A lot of these guys, a lot of the people that have been charged that were on the west side of that building that were former military and law enforcement were reacting to a situation that was presented to them. A few of guys that I've gotten to learn real well, veterans with post-traumatic stress issues that saw bleeding civilians, the ordnance going off everywhere, and it just creates this sense of urgency, and it kicks on your senses, and then next thing you know, you're running towards trying to help people, and it created the perfect storm for them to generate these charges and round up a good bit of veterans that otherwise law-abiding citizens.
Yeah, that
exactly.
never would have happened if this information were able to get out.
Before we go to break, and we've got less than a minute, Kenny, talk to us. Most of the J6ers have got a Give, Send, Go account that they blast all over the screen. We try to help raise them money. I think it's very admirable that you hit me and you said, let's put up angelspatriotbattle.org. That's your wife's company. You'd rather earn money than just have money given to you. So you got about 20 seconds. Talk about angelspatriotbattle.org.
Yeah, so it's a little clothing store that my wife set up to try to help generate some financial help for her. She's got some great shirts. All the designs are her own. She's now invested in an embroidery machine, so she's making these great little patches, and she's promoting them on her website. And keeping her busy helps her.
And it's huge. It's huge, Kenny.
We'll talk about
Yeah,
that.
we're going to talk more about it when we get back from the break. Ladies and gentlemen, on the break, go to angelspatriotbattle.org and place an order for something. You're watching Cowboy Logic. We got Ken Harrelson in here. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Cowboy Logic. We are continuing our conversations with Jan Sixers. This is the first time we've had Kenny Harrelson on. He is an oath keeper. He is retired Army. He was sentenced he was in that group with Stuart Rhodes and Kelly Meggs and Jessica Watkins. Now, he got 4 years. We know that Stuart got 18, Kelly got 12, and Jessica got 8 years. I mean, the whole thing is just so wrong, Kenny, on so many levels. But before the last segment was over, we were talking about how you're trying to cope and how your wonderful wife has started angelspatriotbattle.org. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because it's just a great organization trying to help you out, and she's doing some wonderful things.
Yeah. So it's something that she started to not only help get some resources for her, but also to kind of help her cope with me not being there, giving her something to take up a little bit of time, because finding something to obligate your time to is a big part of mental health and staying healthy. So she turned it. I think initially she was doing like leggings and T-shirts and stuff, but here recently she's got into making patches. So she's making these patches you can iron on or Velcro on. She's doing custom request designs. Everything's made by hand. Every time I call now, it seems like all I hear in the background is the embroidery.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Patches.
AngelsPatriotBattle.org. And the thing is, there's been so much stress on so many Jan 6ers for this. Thank God, quite honestly, and it's odd to say you only got 4 years, but hopefully you could be out in less than a year, which is great. And I think a lot of it might be due to the fact that you didn't speak out as much, and a lot of these other people who did speak out are getting penalized for it. But you've been sentenced, and now you're willing to talk. Tell us about what you saw that day that you think, it's just, again,
I want to know about the agitators.
Yeah.
I want to know about the provocateurs. What did you see, Kenny?
Yeah.
Well, so day of is a lot different than sitting and watching video after the fact, kind of doing an assessment of the day. So the day of, I was more focused on doing what I was there to do, which was security for those speakers. So we moved a large group of principals from the Ellipse to the Capitol, and when we arrived at the Capitol, the stage setup that was supposed to be there for these people weren't there. So we're grouped together. We got the principals grouped together. We're just kind of hanging out, and the Mr. Calgary gets on the phone and tries to call the guy for the setup. And, initially they said they couldn't make it back over there. So he said, all right, well, we need to get you guys together and get you back to the hotel. So then the phone rings, and it's the stage setup guy, and he says, there might be an opportunity just to hang tight. The next thing you know, it sounds like a herd of cattle, like a stampede. We turn around and look, and there's just this massive crowd of people moving towards the building. And we don't think too much of it because there's flyers circulating that say that there was going to be a protest on the steps of the Capitol building. So me and one of the guys that were with me, we kind of filming the situation, and during the filming, the principals, they kind of fall into the crowd and go on up to the stairs, so we kind of break and give chase and move up there, but at that time there's so many people, it's just kind of hard to find them. So we're hanging out on the stairs and singing the national anthem, and it just seems like a good, there's nothing really wrong with what's happening. Never saw any police violence because the crowd, what went on around us, you're packed in a crowd so tight that you can only see the backs of people's heads, 2 or 3 rows in front of you. You can't see anything that's going on. So, we had no idea that while we're on those steps, there's a group of instigators and agitators up around the door trying to pull the police officers away from the door. They're actively spraying them with pepper spray. And it's a concerted group effort. You can see there's a group of people there. And then this comes from after doing the video review. You can figure out that these guys are working in concert together. They're being orchestrated by 1 or 2 guys. And it's funny because we're down on the stairs, and one of those guys is orchestrating what's going on up around that door. He comes down and says, hey, I need some help up here. You guys come up here and help us. So we turn around and kind of start moving up that way, and there's another guy up there. We called him the landing operator because he parts the crowd, and this guy marches the line of Oath Keepers right into this gap. And then the crowd collapses back in around us, and then they start doing chants on loudspeakers and bullhorns, and you see a lot of from doing the reviews and stuff. We notice there's flag bearers. People kind of you manipulate a crowd through sound, sight, and almost like a crowd movement type behavior. When you get 10 or 15 people grouped together and start moving them around, more and more people kind of gravitate towards that group of people. That group of people grows. And,
hey, Kenny,
it's easy
Kenny,
to be an armchair quarterback now, I guess.
Let me ask you about the guy that was kind of calling the audibles up there. Was he ever identified? Do you have any idea who this guy was that was parting the sea of people for you to come up?
No, we don't. I think one of the guy that came down and asked us to go up there and help him was identified. I don't think he was ever charged, but the guy that parted the crowd and moved us into position, I don't think he was ever identified. He was wearing a full ski mask with a 45 beanie on his head. He's seen multiple times in the rotunda. He had a chair with him, so they moved into the rotunda, and he would put this chair down and stand up on this chair and start waving a flag and directing people, and it's just crowd. They were using crowd control techniques. They were using bullhorns, flag waving as a form of visual stimuli, and it's easy. You can start a chant with a bullhorn, and it's human nature. 10 people will start chanting.
Yeah.
20 people will start chanting. So what we saw was like they tried to use these, like the treason chant against us in trial, right? So I don't remember chanting treason. The guy next to me was chanting freedom. A guy to my left was chanting treason.
Yeah, sounds the same.
What we found was there was a guy on the second story above the entrance there to the rotunda with a bullhorn chanting treason. It was just a droning, just treason, treason, treason. And as the mass of people were moving through that area, they were picking up that chant and carrying that chant into the rotunda. And you almost end up doing it mindlessly because
it's crowd think. It's crowd think for sure.
The excitement,
yeah.
Kenny, I want to get a question in. We've got less than 3 minutes left, but I want to get something in that Kelly Meggs has brought up to me that you guys checked out during the discovery process of watching videos. Tell us, if you can, about the panels that opened up in the Capitol, and then all of a sudden, when those panels opened up, it was on an upper floor. Cameramen, media came out, took pictures, and then all of a sudden disappeared back into those panels.
Yeah, that was in a location called Statuary Hall, right off of the rotunda, and we saw this through watching CCTV footage. They had, not only did they have a actual news camera set up almost remotely operating in there, but there were panels on this second level that would open up and media would pop out and take pictures, and then they would pop back in these hidden panels. We even saw protesters. There was a lot of protesters wearing these old World War II style gas masks, and they seemed to be working in concert. We even saw a video of one protester that was actually removed a railing, went through a hidden doorway in the statuary hall, and then come out of that hidden doorway. And the only way you would have known that was there is from previous knowledge. There's no way this guy just guessed to go back there and find this door and go in it and come out of it.
Well, we know a Hollywood producer was putting this stuff together, and John Solomon is proving that the video has been overdubbed because there's no audio on these videos, and that's now coming out. We got about a minute left. Again, Kenny, we got to have you back, and we do appreciate you coming and finally talking to us. And God bless you, man, because you could be out of there in less than a year. And who would have thought even 2 years ago that you'd still be here at this point? Let's give him a minute to talk to Angel.
Angel and your family, you got about 30 seconds. Talk to your family.
Yeah, I love you guys. I have, I like to thank my wife. She's been my stone. She's had to change for what's happened. She's a totally different person today than she was before this happened, and I commend her for everything she's done. If it wasn't for her, I'd probably be.
You have 1 minute remaining.
I'd be so. I mean, she's been my guiding light and my stone through all this. So
we're gonna have you back, brother Kenny. We're gonna have you back, and we'll give you more time to talk.
For sure.
AngelsPatriotBattle.org, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Kenny.
You're watching Cowboy Logic. We're gonna be right back with more.
To Cowboy Logic. Kind of a crazy day we've had.
Here come the judge.
Yeah,
I've been
really.
wanting to say that for a long time now.
Order in the courtroom. Order in the courtroom. Here come the judge. Here come the judge.
Your Honor.
Literally. Hold on. Identical. See, that's my cousin Vinny.
That's right.
That's about all we know about law, quite honestly.
Yeah, but we don't need to know a whole lot about it because we know this guy.
Yeah, this is
and
true.
And this guy
is the
married
bomb.
us. He married us,
yes,
everybody.
He did, among other
Judge
things.
Hal, how are you, my dear friend?
I'll tell you what, one of the great moments of my life, Donna and Don, was to marry you two guys. You belong to each other, I'll tell you that.
And not only that, it was at the Red Pill Expo in Georgia. it was commemorating the 25th anniversary of The Creature from Jekyll Island, and our good friend G. Edward Griffin's great book, and Ed is there, and he's still going strong at 90 plus years old as well. So,
and that was an opportunity
awesome.
where we were actually guarded by
Oath Keepers.
That's right. We had our own oath keeper assigned to us for the entire weekend. He was an absolute gentleman. He was former military. He may have been former law enforcement.
Yep.
But we never felt safer, ladies and gentlemen, because we were being guarded by oath keepers. We were being protected by oath keepers.
That's why
we
they're
never
under
felt
attack.
more honored, too, because we had this man perform the ceremony for us, in which, Judge, I believe that we hold the record for a wedding in 2020, October of 2020, in which we had over 350 people at our wedding.
In the midst of
right
COVID.
Smack dab in the middle of COVID. And you can attest to how many people were at our wedding.
350 people we had just met the day before because we emceed the event. It was a lot of fun, though. It was a lot of fun.
And now very close family members. A great
That's right.
There you go.
I don't remember one mask that entire time.
No.
Do you all remember one mask? I don't.
Nope.
There were no. The only people wearing masks were the people at the event center, and they were required to do so.
Yeah. Yes.
Policy of the event center. But that's right,
first
everybody.
event-
We got married in October of 2020 in front of 350 people, which I challenge you to find a bigger wedding attendance in 2020. And nobody had any masks on.
And a greater number of patriots you just could never find. That's
All
for
right,
sure.
let's
All right.
get down to business,
Well, let
Judge.
me just tell everybody, you're a retired judge, distinguished Army career. You said, you jumped out of perfectly good airplanes. You ran for the Georgia Supreme Court. Unfortunately, you weren't successful there. But you have numerous books out there, including one that kind of put all of Trump's tweets together. And in 2020, your book, The Making of a Supreme Court Justice, I think a lot of people ought to read to try to find out what's going on. Because you know what, Judge, I find we're in, and Mark Levin says this all the time, we're in a post-constitutional republic at this point. You've got judges that look at political leanings instead of the Constitution. You've got people at commencement ceremonies at CUNY, New York's law school basically giving anti-Semitic statements and getting applauses because these kids aren't learning the law. I sound like my mother. These kids today, they're not learning the law. They're learning to be activists.
Don, I got to tell you, when I also taught the law, and when I taught the law, the problem is this, to sum it all up. When you take a class as a law student in constitutional law, you never read the Constitution. You read opinions by men who sit on the high court who decided what the Constitution is and how people should digest it. It is not the Constitution. We've strayed from the Constitution. And I'll tell you, if anything is true, we do have judicial activism. We have a country now that has been lured into accepting the loss of our constitutional rights and privileges. And the pace at which that happened, especially during the onset of the Chinese pandemic, it is very discouraging. It took apart our Constitution. The judiciary allowed all of our freedoms and rights to be forsaken. And that's where we are today. I think Mark Levin hit it right on the head there. We are in a post-constitutional America. We have a two-tiered system of justice. We have judges to the federal bench who are now appointed by their political friends in the United States Senate and the ruling party. Unfortunately, today, the United States Senate is ruled by the Democrats, and there are many sympathetic Republicans in that Senate who just will not allow the type of federal judges that we had coming in during the Trump administration.
Yeah.
And America is at a loss because of it.
It's a uniparty, unfortunately, in so many instances, too, because even some of the judges that are Trump appointed have swung way over to the left. I mean, the swamp is the swamp. And as I've said in this show, there's more toxic methane coming out of a swamp, which D.C. is built on, than there is by them trying to kill off all these cows because they excrete out the back end. And it's affecting the mentality, I think, of the people in D.C. Don had a question.
Judge, you and I have had numerous conversations over the past couple of years, specifically about the events that took place on J6, and more importantly, the conversations that you and I've had are what's going on in the courtroom. And you enlightened me because you helped me understand the fact that prosecutors have, I don't want to use the word abnormal latitude, but extreme latitude maybe is the best way to use this. Because I came to you and I said, how are they doing these things? How are they able to do this? How can they say this when they know it's not true? And you just said, prosecutors have extreme latitude. You may not have used that word, but
why is that?
Can you get into that a minute for us?
Sure. We got to remember the process is this, and we saw the process fall apart during the final days, or maybe through the whole Obama administration. If you recall, we had the FBI director, Comey at the time, who decided as an investigator not to press charges against Hillary Clinton for obvious, gross violations of the law. In fact, Comey said no reasonable prosecutor would bring those charges forward. I disagree 100%. In fact, that's not his role at all. The FBI was once the premier investigative agency of the United States government. In fact, in the world, it no longer is. We have political appointees who have I want to be careful in my words, but they have not kept faith with the Constitution or the laws. And we see that right now. Hillary Clinton, her 35,000 emails, her bleach bidding, her destruction of evidence, all of these things, Comey did not see those particular things rising to what a prosecutor might make charges out of. But now, what do we see? We see President Trump with this latest document scenario where the FBI raids Mar-a-Lago. First time in the history of our country that the president is subject to a search warrant, a criminal search warrant. And they lay out, open up a box of classified material, so they say, and lay it out on the floor. Did anyone see that same thing happen with Joseph Biden and his garage, or the Penn Center, or the areas where he kept those classified documents in Chinatown? No, we saw none of that. Two separate standards. The FBI sought to humiliate Donald Trump, and I think we all know why. It's a lesson. Do not buck the system. If you continue to press your campaign to return to the Oval Office, we're going to punish you. We're going to persecute you, and that's what they're doing. How about the FBI and its handling of Hunter Biden's laptop? Mm-hmm. They had Hunter's laptop in December of 2019, and supposedly they're still investigating that matter. Amazing, isn't it? But President Trump, just earlier this year, there's a discovery of those documents, and we already have him indicted on that.
Yeah. But hold on, we only have about 30 seconds here. But
I have to. Hey, Judge, everybody, sir. He said, buck the system. I know Judge Hal Morose.
I had to think twice about that one, too.
I did a double take in my mind, and I'm like, there's no way he just said what I thought he said. He didn't. We know this man.
He might have thought that,
this man married us.
But he didn't say it.
He said buck with a B.
Maybe Don would have said that. Would you agree with that, Don? Maybe Don would have said the other word.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got the judge in the barn with us, Judge Hal Morose. We'll be right back with more. Hey everybody, Don NEUEN with Cowboy Logic here to talk about My Pillow and My Store. And most importantly, promo code 1776 because it gets you huge and deep discounts at either mypillow.com or mystore.com. It's a way for you to support Mike Lindell, one of the greatest patriots ever to walk the face of the United States. mypillow.com, mystore.com. Promo code 1776. Get discounts on bedding, towels, slippers, dog beds, whatever else you need, robes. And then trot over to mystore.com. You got all kinds of stuff for the house there. You've got all types of food. You've got cool little things you can get for around the house. mypillow.com, mystore.com. But don't forget to use the greatest promo code known to man, 1776. You'll help the show out, but most importantly, you're going to help our friend Mike Lindell out. mystore.com and mypillow.com. On the break, you said a bad word.
I did, but it wasn't being recorded, so it's okay.
And the judge didn't say. He said buck the system.
Yes, with a B, okay? Judge Hal Morose, he actually married us. So how cool is that, folks?
What a dear friend.
Retired.
We love you, Judge.
Georgia judge, distinguished Army career, airborne, jumping out of perfectly good airplanes. Tons of books. It's Morning Again in America, Breaking Trust with the Constitution, America at Sunset, Armor of the Republic. He wrote a book in 2018 with all of Donald Trump's terrible tweets. They're nasty. I know. He's orange and he tweets. And in 2020, The Making of a Supreme Court Justice, because he did run for Georgia Supreme Court. Unfortunately, didn't win in that, but
we're not so sure
that's
about that.
okay.
But that's
Yeah,
another
given
episode.
how things are run in Georgia, that might not have actually been the case. So before the break, you were talking about how the FBI basically is saying they're taking 6 years to go through Hunter Biden's laptop. All they had to do was read Miranda Devine's laptop from hell, and it would have been all summed up for him easily. Then you got the 51 supposedly people in the government saying, oh, it's nothing here. And Joe Biden was able to use that against Donald Trump during the 2020 election, and he even referenced it in one of the debates. And obviously, we're finding out years later, again, once the damage is done, that it's not true. Well, Miranda Devine and actually some other people have come up with this latest thing because this Trump valet, his last name is Nauta, N-A-U-T-A, was being used to try to get to Donald Trump about the documents that he saw at Mar-a-Lago or didn't see at Mar-a-Lago. And his attorney is a gentleman by the name of Stanley Woodward. Now, Stanley Woodward, we know, has represented a bunch of the Oath Keepers, and I believe he also represents a number of people around the Trump administration. Well, Stanley has submitted an application to be a judge at the Superior Court of D.C. He's representing this valet, Nauta. And the FBI asked Stanley to come up there last week to the FBI and actually said, this guy, Jay Bratt, who explained that they wanted Nauta to cooperate with the government against Trump, according to a letter. So Mr. Woodward goes up there and they're talking to him and they said, well, we think he perjured himself. And his attorney said, no, that's not the case. Well, then the FBI, in a roundabout fashion, says, you know, we hear you're trying to become a judge here in D.C., essentially holding that over him. Well, to his credit, Stanley Woodward has come forward with that, saying he basically was bribed in a roundabout fashion. And now they're saying this guy Nauta did perjure himself, and they're going to press charges against the valet as well. I mean, this is unbelievable. Just what do we say about that, Judge?
Well, you know, Donna, I think Chuck Schumer described the situation well several years ago when he first went after President Trump for actually pulling back the veil, if you will, on the corruption in Washington, D.C. He said, if you mess with the FBI, if you mess with the Department of Justice and their investigators, they can come after you 6 ways to Sunday. They have in their arsenal the ability to question people. You still have the right to refuse questioning. That is a constitutional right to remain silent. And the reason why I would always recommend that to people of goodwill who want to share with what they know with the federal government or even the state government, every time you do that, you run the risk of having words you say misinterpreted. And unfortunately, under this federal Department of Justice, we have seen them use words, twist words that demonstrate 2 things. One, a partiality when it comes to Democrats saying things, and another for we the people, including Republicans, conservatives, Christians. If you say something that can be taken as out of context, perhaps different from what you first said, they can charge you with filing a false statement, which is a felony when you do that to investigators.
They can indict a ham sandwich if they want. And I do that on social media a lot, hashtag indicting ham sandwich. That's what they're doing. How about Brady violations? We're seeing this in so many cases with our Jan 6ers. Brady law, if you know, and a lot of the whistleblowers are finally coming forward saying this, if you know the law is being violated and you have video proof of it, even if you're a prosecutor, you have to show that. And if it throws the case out the window, so be it. And I see, quite honestly, in my opinion, many members of Congress and the Senate also violating their oath of office. Obviously, 2 things we're talking about here, but I'd like your comments on both of that.
Sure. We have a right under the 6th Amendment to the Constitution to due process. One of the due process requirements of the government when it prosecutes someone is to provide all exculpatory information that they might have. All information, literally, on whatever is proximate to that crime. And what happens is they don't give you all the information. We're discovering now the volumes of information that was given over, if you recall, to Tucker Carlson by the now Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. All of that information, I would venture to say, was not provided to the people accused of crimes on January 6th. And because it wasn't, because some of the information may demonstrate that, no, there wasn't a criminal trespass, some were invited onto the White House, the Capitol grounds. And when they came on the Capitol grounds, yes, I think we can all agree there was violence. I still don't know who committed those acts of violence. I do know this: when asked by Republican members of the House Judiciary Committee, the FBI director refused to say whether he had FBI agents posing as
exactly
sympathizers.
And that's actually come out. Judge, we're running out of time. In 30 seconds, how do you go against these people violating their oath of office in Congress and the Senate, which they appear to be doing?
Donna, it's one of the reasons I ran for the High Court. We have to have judicial accountability. The judges, the justices need to call a spade a spade. When the law is violated, we have lost checks and balances. That's why we're no longer in a constitutional republic.
Yep.
The courts are there to safeguard and protect individual rights. That's paramount. That has been an abysmal failure when it comes to the J6ers and this dual track of justice that we now see in America. It's a travesty. But Donna, how do we change it? We need to get people of principle in Congress. We need to get people of principle in state and federal legislatures.
Yep.
We need to get
Starts at the
people of
local
principle
level,
in
too.
judges.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Folks,
Judge, we've got to close out the show. I can't think of a better way than to have a veteran such as yourself take us to our national anthem. Thank you for joining us, but I'd like to turn it over to you to take us to the national anthem, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I am proud that we still have a remnant of people who love this country, care about this country, stand in the gap for America. I would ask all gentlemen to remove their hats. I would ask all to pay reverence to this, our national anthem, as we hear from President Donald Trump and the J6ers who now stand in the gap for freedom.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watch, words of gallantly streaming.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, everybody, we got a brand new sponsor at Cowboy Logic. 1776 promo code gets you 15% off.
SugarCreekGoods.com.
Yeah.
We are talking about all natural cleansers, scrubs,
Bar soap.
creams. This is the body butter. I love this. This is awesome stuff. Don, let me put a little bit on here. Don uses the Freedom Bar because the Freedom Bar is even more special, right? Because 100% of the Freedom Bar proceeds go to Jan Sixers. There you go. Perfect.
Freedom Bar, all proceeds go to J Sixers.
Again, it's sugarcreekgoods.com. Hey, I got the toner too, and let me tell you something. It minimizes the pores on your face.
Yeah,
it's
she
awesome.
uses it before the
I only
shows.
used it a couple days so
And
far.
I use this every day. And these bars last. They don't disappear like a lot of this stuff.
That's sugarcreekgoods.com, sugarcreekgoods.com.